Ready? Ready.
What's up, guys? It's Pick'em with HuddleGG, and welcome back to another episode of Ask Huddle. If you guys are new here, this is a series that we do each week where we answer your guys' questions. So if you have a question you'd like answered in a future video, wherever you're watching this, just make sure you leave that in the comment section below, and we do our very best to get to it. You can also ask us in our Discord. It's completely free to join. Just go to HuddleGG/Discord. Again, we appreciate you being here. Let's dive into this week's episode, and this week we're going to talk about a question that we get a ton, and it's how does pass protection work, right? We have a variety of different questions we get from people on pass protection and how it works. What does this mean? What does this new mechanic mean? What does this tool do? All of that. We're going to try to touch on everything here in this video. So again, this is just going to be kind of a crash course on pass protection and understanding what we have the option to do and what everything's going to look like on the screen for us. So with that being said, let's really jump into this. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the visuals, or are the visuals. Okay, so we're going to talk about what you're going to see on the field when you look at your pass protection. Now, to pull up your pass protection, you want to push left bumper on Xbox, or you're going to push L1 on PlayStation. Now you're going to have these lines coming from the offensive line. You're also going to see certain icons above players' heads. Okay, so what you're going to see first is the lines, or are the lines coming from the offensive lineman. Okay, so you see here our left tackle, our right guard, and our right tackle have red lines going towards their player, and then the left guard and the center have blue lines going up towards that D tackle in the A gap, then going towards that middle linebacker. So what you're going to see here is if you see red lines going from an offensive lineman to a player, that's telling us that guy's going to be in a man-to-man blocking scheme against that player. Okay, so again, red line, think man-to-man. Blue is just telling us that those two players are going to first double the player they're showing they're doubling, and then they're going to work their way up to that second player that they have the angle going towards. Now, if we start to implement certain slides, and we'll talk more about what each of these means, what each of these mean throughout this video, but you're going to start to see that we'll now have green lines. Okay, so green lines are going to tell us that they're zone blocking. Okay, so red line is going to tell us it's man-to-man blocking. Green line is going to tell us it's zone blocking, and then blue line is going to tell us they're going to first double team this player and then work their way up to the second level. Now, when it comes to the icons above players' heads, you're going to see flame icons, and you're going to see an M. An M is going to be who the Mike linebacker is, typically going to tell you who the offensive line or the running back is going to block in addition to the people on the defensive line. We're also going to talk about how we can set that Mike and make sure that we have our players blocking appropriately later on in this video. But again, the Mike is going to be that M above their head, and you can change that. Once again, we'll get into that. And then those flame icons are going to be our hot reads. Okay, so those defenders are going to be unblocked if everybody's coming, right? So if the 4 linemen and then those 3 linebackers or those 3 secondary level players there with the icons above their head, if all 7 of those people blitzed, the 2 people with the flame icons above their head right now would be the 2 that are not picked up in the blocking scheme, and those are the 2 that we have to recognize and we need to throw hot at if they are blitzing. Okay, so again, that's what you're going to see when it comes to the different icons on the field. Again, you're going to see the different lines. Like I said, red man-to-man, green zone, blue is showing a double team, then up to the second level. The M stands for the Mike linebacker, or the person that you ID as the Mike, and then the flame icon is going to be the unblocked defenders on a given play based off of how your protection is set up. And with that being said, we're now going to jump into what the different protections are that we have available and what each of them mean. Here we're going to talk about the different options that we have when it comes to setting our pass protection. So I did move my camera a little bit so we can see this menu on screen. And what we want to do is we want to hold left bumper or L1 on PlayStation, and that's going to bring up your pass protection menu. Now in this section, we're going to focus on the 8 options that we have with our left and our right stick. So on the left stick, you can see it at the top. If we push it up, it's empty. If we push it down, it's base. And then if we push it left, it's going to be a full slide to the left. If we push it right, it's going to be a full slide to the right. Now, if we look at the right stick, if we push it up, it's going to be max protect. If we push it down, it's going to be double team. And then if you push it left or right, it's going to be a half slide to that respective side. So what we want to do first is look at the left stick options. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is down on the left stick, and that's going to be base. And that's what you see here. And base is going to be your traditional blocking, the one that you're probably most used to in Madden, where you're going to block the 4 down linemen and then that extra defender, typically that Mike linebacker. So you can see here, obviously in base protection, we're going to block the 4 down linemen, and then we are going to block that middle linebacker who is ID'd as the Mike, as you can see. Now, if we go to empty, what you're going to see is the line is going to look a little goofy here, right? You see that the left tackle is not actually showing that he's blocking anybody. What you can do with your empty blocking is if you bring up your actual player, you can see that the lines behind the offensive linemen are in these dotted lines. As you can see, they're moving. If we go back to base and we look at our pass protection, you see how that's a solid gray line coming from the offensive lineman. If we go back to empty, you're going to see that again, those are those dotted lines. And this is telling us that we're in empty protection. What that is it's expecting the running back to go out on a route. Okay, so we're not expecting the running back or anybody extra to be blocking. And our offensive line are going to be using what's called most dangerous man rules, where they're going to essentially pick the most immediate threats to their side, right? So if 3 people are coming to their side blitzing, they're going to block the 2 most immediate threats of those 3. And they're going to do that to both sides of the field. Okay, so again, empty is kind of, they're going to sink back and wait to see who the most dangerous threats are, and they're going to block accordingly. Now, if we look to our full slide left and full slide right, if we full slide to the left, it's going to be zone blocking for everybody to the left. So you can see now that all of our blocking lines have turned to that green color. And when we see this green color, again, that's telling us that it's zone blocking. And what that's saying is this is who they most likely are going to be blocking based off of the setup of the defense. But again, they're zoning off that way, so they're just going to block the people that come into that area. Now, if we full slide to the right, you're going to see the exact same thing. We're now going to get zone blocking from everybody to the right side of the field. Now, if we go back to base, and now we're going to look at the right stick pass protection options. So first, let's look at half slide, and then we'll get into max protect and double team. So half slide is going to half slide one half of the line into zone blocking, and then the other half is going to stay in their man-to-man. So you can see here, if we half slide to the left is going to slide or zone block that way, and then the right, which is going to be our right guard and our right tackle, are going to stay in their man-to-man blocking. Now, if we half slide to the right, you're going to see that we get the right side of our line to zone block or to slide that way, and then we get the back side, which is the left side, to stay in the man-to-man blocking. Now, you can see here, when we half slide to the right, only 1 player is in man-to-man. If we half slide to the left, 2 people are going to be in man-to-man. That's just based on the alignment of the defense of how that's going to play. So you can see, obviously, to the right side, the D tackle's in the B gap. With the left side, he's in the A gap. So that does zone off the left guard as well, because there's nobody to his left. Now, if we would have this guy over here and we would half slide to the right, you can see that now that left guard is going to stay in that man-to-man blocking. And then if we would half slide to the left, now you're going to see the right guard is going to be involved in that slide as well. Now, the last 2 options on the right stick are going to be max protect. Max protect is really easy. It's just going to block everybody with the offensive line, the running back, and any tight end attached to the line. Okay, so you can see here, running back is obviously on a route. If we just go to max protect, you're going to see it automatically blocks that running back. And what it's going to do is going to put our line in base protection as well with that extra running back or tight end if he's attached to the line. And then double team is going to allow us to double team any of the people on the line, right? So if we go down on the right stick, you're going to see we now have this D icon pop up, which is over the left of screen D tackle right now. And we can move this to any of these linemen, and that's just going to tell our players who to double team. So if we select this guy right here, you're going to see that we now have a double team on that player with the left guard and the center. And again, you can do that with different players. You can see here, we're able to double team that guy. If you want to double team this player out here, obviously you have the opportunity to do that as well. Again, these are going to be the different options that we have with our pass protection. And then in the next section, we're going to start to talk about IDing the mic, how we can best utilize that, and also the Untarget Defender, which was introduced this year into Madden. Here we're going to look at 2 additional options we have in our pass protection menu with the ID the mic feature and the Untarget Defender. Now with ID the mic, this is going to apply to our running back. Okay, now what's going to happen is if we pull up our pass protection menu and we push A, you're going to see that we can now move the mic or that M icon to somebody else's head, right? So originally it was on this middle linebacker. Let's say that we move it over here to this left of screen linebacker. You're going to see that our line is not changing the way that they're blocking. That player to the left still has the flame icon above his head. Again, that's because we're not implementing our running back into the scheme. Now what you're going to see is if we block our running back and now we have that mic on the middle linebacker, you're going to see that that's who the running back is going to target. If we move this mic to this player over here, the running back is now going to target that guy. If we move it to this guy over here, the running back is now going to target this guy. So ID the mic is telling our running back who he is responsible for when it comes to blocking. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to really focus on IDing the mic if you're not blocking your running back, and also if you're using empty protection, okay? So IDing the mic will work with that running back, whether you're in base, full slide, or half slide, okay? So let's say that we wanted a half slide to the left, and then we wanted to ID this player over here. You can definitely do that, and you can see, obviously, we set up the blocking where we have a half slide going left, and we have the running back blocking the player that we ID'd as the mic. Let's say that you want that running back to pick up the guy with the flame icon above his head right up the middle and keep the half slide to the left. All you need to do is ID the mic, move it to this middle linebacker, and now you're going to see that we still have that half slide to the left, and now we're still going to have the running back picking up who we're telling him to do. You can do the same thing over here as well, and you're going to see that the rest of our line is going to adjust when we do that. Now, there's certain situations where you don't really want to do a specific pass protection because you're going to leave yourself vulnerable. This is a perfect example. If we're half sliding to the left, we probably don't want to ID the player to the left as well, because now that leaves the right side very vulnerable. Okay, so if you half slide to the left, a good rule of thumb is to ID somebody either up the middle or to the right side, just to give ourselves a little bit better of an opportunity to block this appropriately, as you can see here. Okay, so again, that's what we're going to see with ID the mic. Now, when it comes to Untarget Defender, this is a new mechanic this year that was added in that allows us to tell our line who not to block. Okay, so what you're going to see is it's going to work similar to ID the mic, but you're going to push Y now to Untarget Defender, and now you're going to be able to move this flame icon above somebody's head. Okay, so let's say that we don't want our line picking up this middle linebacker, right? Let's say that we know that's the user and we don't want them to focus on him. We can untarget him, and now you're going to see that they're going to focus on another threat rather than picking up that player right up the middle. Where this can be very helpful is when people are running something like mid blitz. So if we come out in a play here and they're in mid blitz, and what a lot of people love to do is they love to bring their user down here and stand him over the center like this. Okay, so obviously in years past, they're showing 7 people are blitzing right now, and one of them is the user right up the middle. The offensive line had to respect that player and assume that he was coming, so you would have to block 7 people realistically to block this every single time in years past. This year, we're able to block it with just 6 because we know they're only actually sending 6 people. Again, one of them's their user that's going to peel back once they say hike, but we can tell our offensive line to ignore this player now. Okay, so what you're going to see is if we bring up our Untarget Defender and we move it to that user, we can now shift our line. Let's say we half slide to the left or we half slide to the right. You're going to see that whatever we do with our protection, it is now going to ignore that user up the middle, and it allows us to set our protection where we can only need to block 6, and it's going to pick up the 6 that they are sending. So that is a really, really nice way to use the Untarget Defender tool. Again, it's going to tell us who we want to make sure that our line is not picking up. And something that you can do as well is you can actually untarget multiple players on the field. So you can see here, we are actually able to untarget. We have 2 different people on target up the middle, and then the guy off the left as well. And you can just untarget different players if you would like. And you can see here, we've untargeted 4 different players on the field. Obviously, this isn't something that you probably want to do in most situations, but just understand that you do have the opportunity to untarget multiple players on a given play. Last, we're going to talk about the auto protections that are built into specific plays. And we're also going to talk about a coaching adjustment that they added this year that allows us to bypass that and just have it block how we want them to every single time. So what we're going to see here is if we would come out with any play where our running back is going out on a route and we have 5 going out into the route combination, you're going to see that our line is going to automatically default to empty protection. Okay, so again, you can see here, running back is on a route. You're going to see that we get those dotted lines from the offensive line and we are in empty protection. I did not set empty for this play. It's just something that is built into this play based off of the routes that are on the field. Now, if we audible to something like Salem pivot, you're going to see that our running back is blocking to start this play, and it's going to give us a base blocking protection scheme if that running back is blocking to start the play. Okay, so again, if the running back is going out and we're sending 5 out, it's going to default to empty. If our running back is on a traditional block, it's going to default to base protection. Now, if we would go to a play where the running back is on a check and release route, as you can see here, we are going to get a half slide away from that running back as the default pass protection. Okay, so again, if the running back's going out on a normal route, it's going to default to empty. If the running back is staying in the block on a traditional block, it is going to default to base. And then if the running back is on a check and release, it is going to default to a half slide away from that running back. So you can see here, running back is to the right side of the screen. So we are going to get a half slide to the left as our default blocking. Now this is really important to understand, because if we would come out in a play like this, where again, the running back's out on a route and we have empty blocking, if we go to block our running back, you're going to see this now going to change for us, and it's going to switch to default automatically. Okay, so if you were wanting to run empty and you block your running back, you're no longer going to be an empty protection. Now, you don't really want to be an empty protection if you're blocking that running back, so that's not a bad thing, but just understand that you will see certain things change depending on specific adjustments that you make. Okay, but then if we would go back to putting that running back on a route, it will not switch back for us. Okay, so if you do that, you can see that we are still in base. So what we would want to do at that situation, if we wanted empty, is you could always set that empty as your protection again, or you could just reset your play and you're going to get that traditional blocking back on the field. Now, let's say that you don't want it to automatically select your pass blocking for you based off of the play that you come out in, and you want to set it as a default that'll always come out in, let's say, base, or always come out in empty. And then if you want to change it, you can always change it there. What we want to do is we want to go to our coaching adjustments by clicking the right stick in. And now we have this auto pass protection. It was added in earlier in the year in one of the title updates. And you can see right now we have it off. So this is going to allow the game to pick our pass protection based off the play that we come out in. But you can see that we can switch this to base, empty, half slide right, full slide right, half slide left, or full slide left. So you can really set any of those protections as your default, and then no matter what play you come out in, it's going to be in that. So let's say that we set base as our auto protection, and then we come out in a play where the running back is out on a route. Again, typically this would give us an empty protection, but you can see since we have set that in our coaching adjustments, we now have base protection with our line. You still can go to empty if you would like. Obviously, we just switch it in our pass protection menu, and now we have the opportunity to go into empty protection because we're sending 5 out. But just understand, if you don't want the game to automatically select the pass protection for you, just make sure you go into your coaching adjustments, switch that to the default option that you would want. I would highly recommend using base as your default. It's going to be the safest option in general, and that's going to give you the opportunity to make sure that you know what protection you come out in, and if you do want to change it, you still always do have that opportunity to. And if you're looking to get even better at Madden, make sure to join our free Discord by going to HuddleGG/Discord.